I mean, if you feel that it's warranted to say to workers that they should limit their expectations around what they take in exchange for what they offer, doesn't it stand to reason that a similar missive is due to corporate Canada to say that they should be mindful in their price setting, that they don't trigger an inflationary spiral, because they also have the ability to impact expectations of inflation in the way that they set their prices?
I think that's
the short answer, Governor.
I think that's what I was just saying. Companies do need to normalize their pricing behavior. That's part of getting back to 2% inflation.
Thank you.
Thank you, MP Blakey. Governor, we're moving to the second round members, and so MP Hallan is up first, I believe, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Governor, it seems that in some of the things you said that you're counting on a recession to address inflation, at least a loss of growth over several quarters. In fact, many economists are also expecting a recession in the next 12 months. What would that recession look like for Canadians, in your opinion?
Well, I'll give you a sort of a arithmetical answer, and then I'll give you a sense of what it's going to feel like.
Please be concise. I only have 5 minutes.
I mean, our own forecast is that growth will be around 0 for the first 3 quarters of the year, and as we get later in the year, we expect to see growth to start to resume. So, what that means is that, if our forecast is around 0, you could get 2 or 3 quarters of slightly negative growth. You could get 2 or 3 quarters of slightly positive growth. So, I mean, technically, it could be a mild recession, or it could be very weak positive growth. But either way, it's not going to feel good.
When do you expect that?
What's that?
When do you expect that?
Starting, I mean, we're in the first quarter now. So, okay. Our own forecasts are that growth will be lower in the fourth quarter than it was in the third. We don't know the last quarter of last year yet.
Okay,
for the first 3 quarters, we're in the first quarter.
What if a recession doesn't happen? Can you effectively control inflation while the government keeps spending?
Well, if the economy doesn't slow down enough for supply to be able to catch up, yes, domestic inflation won't come down in line with our target, and we will have to raise interest rates further.
So if that was the case, would it be better for you if the government capped its spending? Just a quick yes or no.
I'm going to leave decisions on fiscal policy to governments and parliamentarians.
And if the
I will just say, look, if government spending contributes more to aggregate demand at a time when we're trying to cool the economy, that wouldn't be helpful.
Thank you for that. And if liberal inflation spending continues at least at the current levels, and we continue to face labor shortages and a lack of supply, does Canada face the risk of inflation remaining high while growth declines, thereby causing stagflation?
Yeah, as I said, look, we're going to take whatever governments decide on fiscal policy as given. That's what we've built into our own forecast. Right now, our own forecast has inflation. We've built in all the spending plans that have been announced. Okay. Right now, we've got inflation coming down to around 3% in the middle of this year.
But if spending continues, then that would have to change.
Well, if there's new spending that is over and above the spending that we've built into our forecast, and particularly if that spending stimulates aggregate demand without augmenting supply, yes, other things equal, the economy would be stronger.
I don't have too much time left, but I appreciate the answers. As you indicated before, that the government's increase in spending has contributed to inflation, or in your words, it was inflation is homegrown. I just want to know, at any point since June 2020, did you ever warn the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, anyone in the PMO, or anyone in any finance department that more spending would increase upward pressures on demand and inflation? Yes or no?
I talk regularly, as required by legislation, to the Minister of Finance.
Did you ever warn them?
If she asks me questions, I
do my best to give her advance. Did you ever warn them?
Those are private conversations.
Okay, so, but did you at any point? I mean, that's something that could be made public. Did you ever warn them about that?
Really, I largely talk to the Minister about monetary policy. If she shares her thinking and she asks me for my opinion, I give it.
Okay, were you ever worried about the spending in that time? You can tell me that, right?
Certainly, as I've already said, if if government spending contributes more than we've built in
Yep.
on aggregate demand,
Which it did.
at a time when we're trying to cool demand to bring it in line with supply, yes, that would be a concern.
So in July 2020, you told Canadians, quote, if you've got a mortgage or if you're considering making a major purchase or you're a business and you're considering making an investment, you can be confident rates will be low for a long time. Interest rates are now at 4.5, 18 times higher than the 0.25 rate in February last year. You've also admitted your previous statements that there would be deflation instead of inflation and that inflation would be transitory were a mistake. Given this record, what assurances can you give Canadians that efforts you and the bank are taking today will work and not make Canadians' finances worse?
MP Hallan, we are at the time. Governor, I'll give you 15 seconds, but we got to be pretty strict to get through this round. Yeah.
I think the assurance I can give to Canadians is we have acted forcefully. As soon as we saw the momentum in the economy really picking up and inflation rising, we've raised rates forcefully. It's starting to work, and Canadians can be confident that Canadians expect us to get inflation back to 2%, and we're determined to do just that.
Thank you. And now we're over to the Liberals, MP Sorbara. Welcome to the committee, MP.